All right, guys, I'm starting. Good morning and welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the curse of the grave that was desecrated this week in Syria. The grave that was desecrated this week in Syria is serious stuff. It's no jokes. I'm talking about the grave of the great Rabbi Vital, who was the primary disciple of the holy Arizal, who passed away 405 years ago. He was born on October 11th, 1542. And he was precocious. He was born in Tzfas, actually, in the north of Israel, in 1542. He was buried in Damascus in the year, which year did he pass away here? He passed away 405 years ago in the year 1620. And what happened to his grave was that in I'll tell you which year it was. His grave was already desecrated once in 1994 by Basil al-Assad. Basil al-Assad was the son of his father, the first Assad, and what he decided to do was to build a highway through Rabbi Vital's original burial place. And so he did. He moved the grave. As it happened, they exhumed the body and they moved the grave. Yeah. What happened was that this Basil al-Assad, you may remember what happened to him. Do you remember what happened to him? He had a brother, Bashar al-Assad, who was a medical student in London with no political aspirations. What happened was that Basil al-Assad, who moved the grave of Rabbi Vital, who passed away 405 years ago, he was traveling at high speed on the very highway that he built when moving Rabbi Vital's grave. He was traveling through a fog and he had a head-on collision and he died, which led to the sudden rise to power of his medical student brother from London, Bashar al-Assad, who is, well, until very recently was the leader of Syria until he was ousted very recently. So was that perhaps a curse from the removal of the grave of Rabbi Vital? Or was it something else? I don't know. But I can tell you that this week, oh, by the way, very interesting. The yahrzeit of Rabbi Vital is when? Yesterday. It's on the 30th day of Nisan. Today is the first day of the month of Iyar. It's Rosh Chodesh Iyar. So it's this holiday that we're in right now, which is his yahrzeit. Let me tell you a little bit about who he was. So Rabbi Vital was, so his grave was desecrated this week by grave robbers. I'm not sure what they were looking for 405 years later, but there's, they opened this grave. We don't know exactly what they did. I don't know what they did. You can see the picture of how they opened this tomb and they went inside. I don't know what exactly they did in there, but the coalition of rabbis the Alliance of Rabbis of Islamic States issued a condemnation online. They said, we are deeply shocked and saddened by the desecration of the tomb of Rabbi Vital this Thursday in Damascus, which means, what's today? Tuesday. So I guess that happened a few days ago. Okay. So could it be that these guys are going to reach the same fate as Basil al-Assad? Hopefully. Okay, so let's see what happened. Who was he? Rabbi Vital was born in, I mentioned before, he was born in Tzfas, in north of Israel, October 11th, 1542. Let's discuss the story a little bit. He was recognized as precocious from a very early age. And the Rebbe at his time was Rabbi Yosef Karo, who was the author of the Code of Jewish Law. If you go to Tzfas today and you visit the shul of Rabbi Yosef Karo, he was the guy who would study with an angel every night. The Magid Meishorim, he would study with a certain angel in a cave, which is beneath his shul in the old city of Tzfat. And if you go upstairs to the show, you see there's like a little platform in there, which is where they would adjudicate Jewish law, and that formed the foundation of the code of Jewish law. So this personality, Rabbi Yosef Karo, was the author of the code of Jewish law. He recognized the young Chaim Vital's exceptional abilities and requested that his own teacher, the renowned Rav Moshe Alshich, who also was a rabbi in Tzfas, and his shul is still there, would take special care of this promising student, who was destined to succeed his teacher in the world of Torah study. Rabbi Chaim Vital studied under a very, very important personality by the name of Rabbi Moshe Cordovera. Where was Rabbi Moshe Cordovera from? Spain, Cordoba. Right? He was originally from Cordoba, but he became the leading Kabbalist of Tzfas, and he became perhaps the most influential rabbi of Kabbalah in the past millennia. Because Rabbi Moshe Cordovera was the one who was able to take the teachings of Kabbalah, which at that time were very, very abstract and difficult to relate to, and make them almost relatable, because they became far more relatable through his student, Rabbi Moshe Cordovero's student, who was the Arizal. The Arizal. Now you've heard of the Arizal, right? So this Rabbi Chaim Vital studied under Rabbi Moshe Cordovero, and when the Arizal moved to Tzfas in the year 1570, Rabbi Vital, who was already an accomplished Talmud Chacham, a Torah scholar, became his primary student. The Arizal only taught, with the profound impact that the Arizal had upon Kabbalah, he only taught for 2 years, from 1570 to 1572. When he suddenly passed away after 2 years, he left behind almost no written works. Recognizing the monumental importance of the Arizal's teachings, Rabbi Chaim Vital took upon himself the sacred task of recording everything that he had learned, and that's why he organized the teachings of the Arizal into what's known as the Eitz Chaim, the Tree of Life, which till this very day remains the foundation of the Arizal's teachings. Rabbi Chaim Vital understood the sacredness and the importance of these teachings of the Arizal. By the way, the Arizal was the one who said that until now, the teachings of Kabbalah are guarded and restricted. They are the secret parts of Torah. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai, he had the revealed Torah, the written Torah. He had the oral Torah, and he had the secret Torah, right? The secret Torah was supposed to remain a secret until the year 1570. When the Arizal declared from now on, it is a mitzvah to reveal this wisdom to all. And the Rebbe explained why did the Arizal say that is because the world was so close to Mashiach, within 500 years of Mashiach also, that therefore, just like before Shabbos, you're supposed to taste the delicacies of Shabbos, so too before the coming of Mashiach, you're supposed to taste the delicacies, the spiritual delicacies, the secrets of Torah wisdom that will be taught to the coming of Mashiach. So the Arizal was the one who changed navigation of the course of Torah wisdom. Right, and when Mike and I were in Tzfas several years ago, and we visited his tomb at midnight, he declared to me, Mike, he said to me that he wishes that 500 years after he dies, his descendants would want to visit his grave in the middle of the night as well. So what our Chaim Vital did was recognizing how important these manuscripts were. He employed 100 scribes working for 3 days straight to reproduce over 600 pages. This is the first modern copy machine. 100 scribes working for 3 days straight to reproduce over 600 pages, which then began to spread throughout the Jewish world. Just a second. Now, what's very interesting about Rabbi Chaim Vital is that he was buried in Damascus, where, Marty, you asked the question, why was he not moved? Because like many of the shepherds of Israel, spiritual shepherds of Israel, they were deliberately buried in the diaspora, because there it is that they served as spiritual guardians over their people. Just like the Rebbe, who's buried in Queens, New York, with the previous Rebbe. Just like the fifth Rebbe of Rebbe Rashab is buried in Rostov. And just like the other Rebbes are buried, the Rebbe Marash and the Tzemach Tzedek are buried in Lubavitch. And the Alter Rebbe is buried in Haditch in White Russia. And the Mittel Rebbe is buried in Lineage, and also somewhere in White Russia. I'm not sure of the geography exactly. But Moses, too, was buried outside the Promised Land. We don't know where, but we know it's outside the Promised Land, because it's about guarding the spiritual guardianship of the Jewish people in places of their greatest need, which is in the diaspora, right? So he was buried in Damascus, where he was sent by the Arizal to overcome spiritual forces of impurity, known as Beis Rimo, known as House of the Pomegranate. The Arizal revealed that Reb Chaim Vital was the reincarnation of King Chizkiyahu. King Chizkiyahu was an extraordinary Jewish king, a very righteous Jewish king, who lived during the time of the Assyrian Empire, 2,800 years ago. The Assyrians preceded the Romans, preceded the Babylonians. They were the ones who exiled the 10 tribes, and they almost succeeded in destroying the remaining 2 tribes of Israel. They laid siege to Jerusalem while Chizkiyahu, the king, was inside. I believe Isaiah, that was the prophet at that time. And what they did was that Chizkiyahu said that I have perfect trust in Hashem, gates of trust. I have perfect and blind trust in Hashem. I'm going to sleep tonight. It was a Seder night. I'm going to sleep soundly. It's Leil Shimurim. It's a night of guardian. Till today you're supposed to on the night of the Seder. It's a night that God guards us. We don't worry about security doors and stuff like that. So we know that God guards us. And he went to sleep with perfect trust in God. He slept like a baby. In the morning he awoke, and a mysterious plague had wiped out the massive Assyrian army around, leaving only 5 soldiers, one of which was Nebuchadnezzar, who ultimately became the leader of the founder of the Babylonian Empire. So Chizkiyahu, the king, was the one. Remember, Chizkiyahu was supposed to have died a premature death. Isaiah said to him that he was supposed to tichya v'lo tamut, tamut v'lo tichya. You will die and you shall not live. And when he was very sick, so Chizkiyahu said to him, "Why? Is there anything I could do to avert this decree?" He says, the reason that you're going to die is because you refuse to get married and have children. Maybe I think Chizkiyahu saw by divine prophecy that he was going to have a wicked son. He didn't want to have a son, so he said, "I'm not getting married." Eventually, he brokered a deal with Isaiah, and he said to Isaiah, "How about if I marry? Is there a chance?" He said, "Can I marry your daughter? So there's a hope that my children might be righteous, because in your merit and in my merit, maybe together, the children would be righteous." And they say, agreed. He married the daughter of Isaiah. He got an extension of 15 years in his life, 1-5. They gave birth to twins. He would personally take care of these twins, bringing them personally to Cheder every single day. No Uber, no taxi, no driver, nothing. He personally put them on his tall shoulders, and he would carry them to the Cheder on he was a very tall man. And one day he overhears the children talking to each other, where one says, "Daddy's got a big hat. So maybe it would be a good idea for us to bring an idol so we can worship the idol on the way to Cheder back and forth on Daddy's hat." So Daddy got so mad that he threw them both to the ground. And now, according to legend, which is unverified, one of them died and the other survived. However, I have reason to believe that they both survived. One became the wicked successor of King Chizkiyahu, King Menashe. Now, there was another son that we don't know what happened to him. But we do know that when the Assyrians came to attempt to conquer the Jewish people, like Goliath, who was mocking the Jews verbally before the assault, they had a fluently Hebrew-speaking Jewish renegade, who represented the Assyrians and made fun of them from within. So he was some sort of a transplant. His name was Rav Shake. And there was reason to believe that Rav Shake was actually the wayward son of King Chizkiyahu, the grandson of Isaiah, who jumped ship and went to the enemy camp in order to negotiate on behalf of the Assyrians to try to get the Jews to surrender. So this is King Chizkiyahu, who now would have been reincarnated according to Rabbi Vital. Don't mess with Rabbi Vital, man. Let me tell you, when Basil al-Assad tried to move his grave, that didn't go well. He died soon after. Let's hope and pray that the wicked Syrian regime, which today is attacking the Druze outside of Damascus, as they did attack the Hashemites on the coast of Tartus a few weeks or months ago with the utmost brutality. Anyone that doesn't ascribe to their brand of fanatical faith, they butchered men, women, and children. May they be decimated, and may Syria truly become a peaceful nation, perhaps hopefully in the merits of Rabbi Vital, who the holy Kabbalist, who is buried right there. I just want to conclude by saying one last thing about him. He passed away at the age of 77, 405 years ago in the year 1620. He wrote a very, very interesting book, which is available in English. Maybe one day I'll teach this book. It's called Sefer HaGilgulim, amongst other books. Sefer HaGilgulim is the book of reincarnations. I'm thinking actually I want to teach that book. The book of reincarnations. Let's see what Rabbi Vital has to say. Maybe in the merit of his grave having been desecrated. Let's maybe take it on as a summer project.
Sounds good.
Let me see if I can take that book on to teach the book of reincarnations and see what comes up over there. I think we'll have a lot of fun learning the book of Rabbi Vital. Why am I talking about this today? Because I'm talking about it today because Rabbi Vital is deeply connected with the Maimer that we're learning in Chassidus, the Maimer of Hanukkah, which we're getting close to finishing, by the way. Mitzvasa, Mishetishka, Hachama, the mitzvah of the Hanukkah lights is to light when it gets dark, because he's the one. Yeah, by next Hanukkah we'll finish. No, we really are truly getting close. We're actually on page 231. But I just want to say before I get to you that we are about to bring up a quote which I probably don't have time to mention, but at least I would say that Rabbi Vital is the one who teaches us about Tohu and Tikkun. Tohu and Tikkun, which are the two worlds. We are now in the world of Tikkun, which is the world of order. But there was a world, a spiritual world that preceded our own. It was called the world of Tohu, the world of chaos. We'll elaborate more about this next time we learn Chassidus. But we'll understand in our next discussion why it's so important for us to know that there was a world before our own. Unlike a discarded manuscript of a movie or a book, which was not yet published, the world that preceded our own was of divine design and incredibly critical and important. Tohu, T-O-H-U, not to be confused with tofu. Tohu, which means the world of chaos, and Tikkun, as in Tikkun Olam, which is the true meaning of Tikkun Olam. We'll be talking about this, which is the world of repair, or the world of order. So it's chaos came before the world of order, and it's the Rabbi Vital, who's the one that teaches us about this concept that's really going to be able to allow us to understand the purpose of the Hanukkah lights. I'm just going to mention that in a nutshell that the Hanukkah lights are there to illuminate the darkness, but just like the world of order is supposed to repair the world of chaos. The world of chaos needed to precede our own world, just like the animal soul needed to precede the godly soul in each and every one of us. We get an animal soul at birth. The godly soul shows up only late to the party, like at the bar and bat mitzvah, because we are supposed to grapple with our darkness in order to transform it into light. And we'll be talking about that more in the next session. What did you going to say, Mark?
What's the difference between the secret Torah and the Sefer Torah?
Spelling. What else? Sefer Torah translates as the book of Torah. The secret Torah means the secret Torah. So it's just
Kabbalah.
Yeah, I mean, let's say this. Let me say this. Sefer Torah is the book that you have in the Ark. Okay, the 5 books of Moses. The secret Torah is the Kabbalah, which is the oral explanation of the mystical secrets of Torah that are not published in that book, but they are based on the book of the Torah. How's that sound? Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. So Torchwood Gal, Boker Tov Rabbi, we'd love to hear lessons from Rebbe's Book of Reincarnations. The subject is dear to my soul. Shalom to all from Nashville, Tennessee. Good. Okay. All right, good. So I think I'm going to take that on as a project. What do you say? Book of Reincarnations. But you have to put on your jumpsuit, your seatbelt,
Skydive.
because this is going to be deep stuff, guys. All right. So we'll wrap it up over here and we'll carry on, God willing, Chassidus. Oh, first time catching this rabbi live, Robin Lessinger. Robin, nice to meet you. Shalom. As long as we're not insulting anybody else, we're good. We don't kick anybody off the channel.
Were you at